All right, folks, we are live. Welcome, welcome. Welcome back. Well, if you guys saw my video that I released this morning, I have officially declared ideological war on the United States of America. And just to give you guys a rundown of what that means, let me just read something for you here. This is in the video that I released, so just so there's no confusion. It is time to go to war with the ideas that have led us into the hands of Putin, Trump, RFK Jr., and other dangerous thinkers. What happens in the USA affects the entire world, and some of us have seen enough. A war of ideas is a peaceful conflict between competing beliefs, ideologies, or worldviews, where the battleground is intellectual. It takes place within the debate, within the dialectic. In 2017, after Trump was first elected, I declared war on anti-science and misinformation and marched the Celebration of Science and Reason tour around the globe. This was an army of some of the greatest minds the world has ever seen, including philosopher Sam Harris, evolutionary biologist Richard Dawkins, cognitive psychologist Steven Pinker, and many more. These battlefields gave us a place to meet, a place to challenge each other, a place where we could dare to be wrong, and a place to disagree, a rally point for reason. A cult-like grip has taken hold of millions of Americans, causing submission to ideas that directly threaten the well-being of the overwhelming majority. Geopolitical bullying and extortion, appeasement of expansionism, undermining of democracy, senseless destruction of diplomacy, pathological lying, authoritarianism, and much more. I am here to mobilize an ideological invasion with the hopes of maximizing well-being for humanity. This is my moral quest. Victory will be achieved through the good faith, helpful dialectic. So, wow. I am such a tool. For some reason, it defaulted my stream to private. I'm so sorry for you guys on Discord. I'm new to this. I've only been doing this for 6-7 years. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. I have to read this again for the stream. But first, I should give everyone the Discord link. We're going to get into everything related to the tour today. I'm going to address some questions that have come my way. I literally have already gotten like 100 emails about what we announced this morning. So I'm gonna go through everything, and I mean, some people just like need to chill, you know. Some people get really worked up, like, you know, there are different kinds of war, right? You know, children in the playground play war. There are different war analogies that you can use. There are trade wars. There are, you know, wars, military wars, of course. But yeah, war analogies are useful, especially when you're dealing with, you know, a country that seems to always be in the business of war. Join us on Discord here. Boom. I will be taking some callers today too. Well, I always say that, but sometimes I just get too tired near the end of once we get through all the information. But okay, anyways, I wanted to let everyone know who doesn't know yet, and I'm sorry for everyone on Discord. I'm going to repeat this again, that I have officially declared ideological war on the United States of America. And I wanted to lay out what that means And we can talk a bit about what it doesn't mean, right? Because there has been some panic in some messages I've got and some emails I've got this morning. I've been up since 4:30 a.m. But I'm hanging in there. And I had a fun hangout with baby this morning, so it was awesome. Okay, so what does this all mean? Okay, here's my little speech from the video I released this morning. It is time to go to war with the ideas that have led us into the hands of Putin, Trump, RFK Jr., and other dangerous thinkers. What happens in the USA affects the entire world, and some of us have seen enough. A war of ideas is a peaceful conflict between competing beliefs, ideologies, or worldviews, where the battleground is intellectual. It takes place within the debate, within the dialectic. In 2017, after Trump was first elected, I declared war on anti-science and misinformation and marched the Celebration of Science and Reason tour around the globe. This was an army of some of the greatest minds the world has ever seen, including philosopher Sam Harris, evolutionary biologist Richard Dawkins, cognitive psychologist Steven Pinker, and many more. These battlefields gave us a place to meet, challenge each other, dare to be wrong, and disagree. A rally point for reason. And here we are again, and it's much, much worse. A cult-like grip has taken hold of millions of Americans, causing submission to ideas that directly threaten the well-being of the overwhelming majority. Geopolitical bullying and extortion, appeasement of expansionism, undermining of democracy, senseless destruction of diplomacy, pathological lying, authoritarianism, and much more. I am here to mobilize an ideological invasion with the hopes of maximizing well-being for humanity. This is my moral quest. Victory will be achieved through good faith, helpful dialogue. So this was what was outlined in my video, and I got a lot of people saying, Travis, you can't declare ideological war on the United States of America. You're not allowed to do that. And my response has been, why not? Where does it say I can't do that anywhere written on a rock on this planet that has to be taken to be objectively true, that I can't do that? I think it's well within my right to do that as a human being. It is people need to pay attention to like the peaceful aspect of this. This is a peaceful war of ideas. The battleground itself is an intellectual battleground. It's not about like attacking those who intellectually disagree with you. For anyone that's panicked about that. And this entire battleground takes place within the debate circle, within the dialectic, the art of discerning what's true through communication. Some other things. Some people have been asking me, why am I giving Destiny a platform on Pangburn? Because he has some, allegations against him regarding some misconduct to do with one of his relationships, and it has to do with him potentially sharing, content of a sexual nature that he wasn't supposed to be sharing, which, if in fact he has done this, it's a terrible thing. It's a bad thing, and he should pay the price for it, whatever that price is. And he needs to do better. He needs to be a better human if he has in fact done that. But that being said, I don't limit the Pangburn stage to people who have never had allegations against them. I've had allegations against me regarding the way I operate my business. Some people call me a fraud, because of what happened between Sam Harris and I in 2018. which, it tells me a lot if people only read Sam's account of that and they don't read my account of it. If you go to thewarofideas.org, I give a very detailed account of what happened with that shitstorm. And we have produced, 8 or 9 live staged intellectual discussions since then, but this is always a story that keeps coming up. And, and I have no problem addressing it. It's all public. If you go to thewarofideas.org and just scroll to one of the first articles there, you'll see my take on everything. Anyways, just because someone has allegations against them doesn't disqualify them from the Pangburn stage. Even if, I would also entertain, like, if someone was charged with something, that doesn't exclude them from the Pangburn stage either. Like Dinesh D'Souza. Dinesh D'Souza had a fantastic discussion where a lot of people would say he got absolutely throttled by Alex O'Connor recently on our stage. But I think it was still an interesting, passionate discussion between the two. And Dinesh D'Souza has been, charged with fraud. He's technically a felon, but he has a place on the Pangburn stage. So I don't play the judge and jury on these things, especially when these things are pending. Like, I'll give my opinion when investigations are done and whatnot on things like related to Stephen's situation. But I let the courts handle that. I'm in no position to evaluate the evidence and all of this stuff. And it's not my job. My job is to do things like produce the anti-Trump tour in a way that I think is going to be most effective. And I think Stephen Bonnell II, Destiny, is an important soldier in this war against Trumpism, misinformation, disinformation, anti-science, and this cult-like grip that has millions of people by the throat in the United States. Gutter Sack says, to be fair, who doesn't get schooled by Alex O'Connor? Yeah, that's true. Alex O'Connor is I've deemed him the heavyweight champion of atheists, and that includes over Christopher Hitchens. Casey says, you're a joke, bro. Anti-Semites? That's you guys, bro. I'm an anti-Semite? What are you talking about? You say Destiny is a provocateur with the debate skills of a third grader? Who did you get that opinion from? Why do you think he's invited around the world to go head to head with some of the most influential people? Why do you think people like Jordan Peterson, who has one of the most popular spaces in intellectualism, invites him on to show that he can go head to head with him? And Jordan Peterson didn't expose Destiny at all. If anything, I think Stephen pointed out some obvious issues with Jordan Peterson's worldview and how he approaches disseminating information. Anti-Trump tour, you getting paid for that? Well, there is going to be ticket proceeds, but we've kept the tickets very cheap, but it's just to help support the event. But the ticket proceeds will never cover all the event costs. It's just there to help. Tickets are $19 for general admission, and I think the debate tickets, let me take a look here. Just want to make sure I tell you guys the right total. Yeah, $29 for a debate ticket, which there's 15. Oh. Shit. Which we've sold out. Okay, the debate tickets are sold out. apparently. Let me just double check that, actually. Yeah, I think we might have sold out the debate tickets. I am going to take. I want to take a deeper look at that in the back end here, just to make sure. But yeah, I'll get to any of your guys' questions that you ask. But yeah, this is the anti-Trump tour, and I have officially declared ideological war on the United States of America for what's been going on with Trump and RFK Jr. being appointed to health secretary. Like, what are you guys doing down there? Brutal. Where is my little ticketing app here? Let's take a look. That's weird that it says that. Yeah, why would it say that on the site? I'm confused. Maybe it's just saying that for me? Or maybe they're pending? Sales pending there? I mean, they might be sitting in people's like checkout boxes right now. I mean, I'm gonna have to take a look at that. The Destiny tampon tour. Okay. How about you buy a ticket and come and see if you can handle a one-on-one with Destiny. Why go after Trump? Because Trump is a bad. Well, first of all, he's a bad person and a terrible leader. Dishonesty and misinformation. Fact checkers have documented thousands of false or misleading claims made by Trump during his presidency. He frequently spreads conspiracy theories, including false claims about election fraud in 2020. His misleading statements about COVID-19 and downplaying its severity may have contributed to public confusion and harm. Corruption and legal issues. Trump was impeached twice, first for abuse of power related to Ukraine, and second for incitement of the January 6th attack. Also, by the way, he didn't learn his lesson with Ukraine, because now he has extorted them while they're being invaded by Russia. While they have an ongoing war with Russia, he extorted them and tried to squeeze this mineral deal out of them while they're under war duress. Disgusting. He has faced multiple lawsuits and investigations, including allegations of tax fraud and business misconduct. His charity, the Trump Foundation, was shut down due to misusing funds for personal and political purposes. Treatment of women. Trump has been accused of sexual misconduct by over 24 women, including allegations of assault. He was recorded bragging about grabbing women without consent in the infamous Access Hollywood tape. His administration rolled back protections for women in areas such as healthcare and workplace rights. Incitement of violence and threats to democracy. He encouraged his supporters to march on the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021, which resulted in a deadly attack. He repeatedly refused to accept the results of the 2020 election, undermining trust in democratic institutions. He pressured election officials to, quote, find votes to overturn the election in Georgia, as revealed in recorded phone calls. I still think he's going to pay a penalty for that, by the way, but we'll see. Nepotism and self-enrichment. He appointed family members like Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner to senior government roles despite their lack of experience. I thought this guy was all about meritocracy. I thought the Republicans were all about meritocracy now. His businesses profited from his presidency with foreign governments and lobbyists booking rooms on Trump properties. Like, do you guys need more than that? Pathological liar, pre-written lies, insurrection. That's what you guys have to say about that? Well, anyways, yeah, the anti-Trump tour is going to be moving through the United States of America. It might not always be Stephen Bonnell II, Destiny, as the featured debater. I want to try to get Destiny out to as many dates as we can, but it might not always be him. But there is an opportunity for content creators. If you're a content creator, this event gives you a great opportunity, especially if you are a Trump supporter or a fan of Trump or disagree with Destiny on certain aspects of his take on Trump. So here's the event breakdown. So step into the ring, debate Destiny live. Hey everyone, Destiny here, and I've got something big to announce. I am embarking on the anti-Trump tour to directly engage with the plague of ideas that has been born out of Trumpism. If you've ever watched me online and thought I could take him down in a debate, or you've got some burning questions related to Trump you think I can't answer, now's your chance. I'm inviting you to join me for a live debate event like no other. Whether you're ready to jump into the arena and challenge me directly, or you just want to sit back and watch me clash with some of the brightest or boldest minds in the room, this event is for you. Here's how it works. If you want to debate me, buy a debate ticket. If you want to watch, buy a general ticket. This event will be streamed live on my YouTube channel, Destiny's YouTube channel. It will then be released as a full video on Pangburn on our channel. Debaters will have a chance to introduce themselves and promote their channel. So here's the big opportunity. Debaters will have a chance to introduce themselves and promote their channel. You will be allowed to post your debate with me once the video is released. So you'll be able to clip and post that debate on your own channel. Destiny will also be signing posters and hanging out after the event. This is your opportunity to engage with me and others in real time, to challenge your perspectives and maybe even change mine. Good luck with that. Whether you're here to argue, learn, or just soak up the chaos, you won't want to miss this. Grab your tickets, get your arguments ready, and I'll see you there. Let's make it a night of passion, reason, and unfiltered conversation. Think you got what it takes to beat me? Prove it. I'll see you in the ring. So there's the breakdown of the event. So Destiny has a pretty big audience. We have a pretty big audience here at Pangburn. There's a big opportunity for any Trump supporters or any conservatives who have their own channels. If you're on the right side of the political spectrum, big opportunity here. The first date is in Detroit at the Marygrove Theater, 8425 McNichols Road. This is April 26th. So we're almost a month away. Did that get fixed? Yeah, we're almost a month away. So rock and roll. And if we do sell out the debate tickets, and there might be an opportunity for other people in the audience to step up to the mic and have a debate. Someone said, why would someone pay you for giving you content? I mean, I've produced some of the largest scale live intellectual discussions in history, and people seem to like that kind of thing. So why would someone pay you for giving you content, if that's what you mean by that? I mean, Funky Texan says, hey, it's not 2015 anymore. Y'all ain't got the power you once had. Destiny's rice paper thin arguments can be shredded by guys with brain damage. Okay, well, let's see if they show up. Let's see if they show up. I am going to be declaring total victory over the state of Michigan for this anti-Trump tour and this ideological war. If Trumpers are too afraid to come and stand toe to toe with Destiny, we'll just declare victory over Michigan and move on. But hopefully, some of you have the stones to step up to the plate, step into the ring. It will be fun. Well, tickets are already flying, so I don't think it's going to be too lonely. But it is what it is. I mean, well, I'm going to pay this. We're going to be going with Mongoose Films. Oh, it doesn't let me just use credit card here. I'm going to ask him if he... James Margany on Twitter says the desperation to find non-professional debaters and scavenge up some loose change because stream views are down. Like, what a cynical comment. No, it's this is an opportunity to engage with members of the public, and specifically the ones who watch someone like Destiny, Stephen Bonnell go on, on like Piers Morgan or Jordan Peterson's podcast or whatever, and think that Stephen's just an idiot and they could easily refute him. Well, this is your opportunity to do that. Come and step on the stage. Man, there's so many like bot accounts that literally are like just created to come and comment on this. Some people are so petty. Oh, my mic's off on Discord? Really? Is that true, Scott? Let's see. You guys can't hear me on Discord for some reason. Weird. It looks like I'm coming through though. Ryan from Kansas says, wow, what a lame attempt to validate this. Whatever this is, why would anybody even care to debate this guy? He's irrelevant, and his 15 minutes of fame is totally is about to dry up. Based on any metrics I've seen, Destiny is just growing, exponentially every day. So I don't know what you're talking about. What do you know that I don't? Louis B says, bet you're paying people to show up. Is that what you really believe? Hey everyone, my name's Destiny. My debate style is talking fast and over the other person. Also, I argue like a woman through emotions. Is this a real person? Why does he say he's talking fast? Yeah, I mean, like sometimes he can slow down a bit, but people who have a high intelligence quotient tend to speak quicker. So it's just, he's got a fair amount of horsepower there in his brain. And yeah, you got to remind yourself to slow down. You want to make sure you're understood. That's for sure. So there's kind of a decent critique in there. You can slow down, but what is that? Also, I argue like a woman through emotions. You sound like the emotional person in this room. Maybe that means you're a woman. Yeah, I mean, I agree with Robin. I think Destiny Steven just absolutely just lines up Trumpers and smokes them right directly into the pit. Like he's very good at this, and this is why I wanted to sign him up for, one of these events and get him out on the Pangburn stage and see how things go. Runefoot says Destiny is basically the OG political YouTuber. Yeah, he kind of is, right? I really like Steven, and I like his stuff, and I think I had him on my podcast a long time ago, and I came off that podcast pissed, and I made a video heavily criticizing him. And I said stuff like, this guy's just like a debate bro. He's kind of in that like, debate bro culture where it's on the edge of being bad faith and very unhelpful. And if you know anything about my 6 virtues, one of the virtues I uphold is communication, with a corresponding maxim that says good faith and helpfulness are the minimum requirements for a fruitful dialectic. So when I have a conversation with someone, when I'm intertwined in the dialectic with them, I want a good faith and helpful interaction. So by good faith, I simply mean sincerity of intentions. So sometimes some of what I would see from him, a bit further back before I got to see him with some like legitimate, having some legitimate conversations with intellectuals. I thought sometimes that he lacked sincerity in what he was doing. And part of it was maybe because he's tied up in whatever game he's playing or whatever. But in the past, like couple years here, I think he has really transcended all of that. And I think he's become a good faith, helpful interlocutor on these topics that it's very difficult to maintain that. And that's another reason why I wanted to give him a shot at the Pangburn stage and under this format. Even before like Jubilee started doing what they do with these discussions, it's like one guy versus 25 Republicans or whatever they do. I have thought that there should be way more interactions between intellectuals and audience members. You see a lot of it only happening on campus, but I want to see more with like more seasoned people who aren't just kind of starting to learn this stuff in university, but people who are, you know, experts, professionals in their own field and have an interest in the body politic and what's going on. But they get an opportunity. We hear from them as well. And doing an event like this in a venue as a public event, I think, is a good way to do that. Scott Hobbs says, Trump increasing the standard tax deduction to $15,000 helped millions who don't own homes. Yeah, so throughout the Trump presidency, round 2 here, there are going to be things that you can point to that I'm going to agree with, right? Like, I agree with being hard on militant jihadists, for example. I agree with that. But I don't agree with the pathological lying, the undermining of democracy, the extortion of Ukraine while they're under war duress to try and squeeze a mineral deal out of them. You know, just how he reacts when reporters ask him if he's going to go and visit the crash site where, you know, 70 or so people died in a plane crash. And he says, well, what, the water? You want me to go visit the water? Well, I don't think I'm going to go visit the water. Like, deeply immoral, disgusting shit like that. You know, yeah. And by the way, a lot of you should look up and study what whataboutism is. So if someone's like, okay, yeah, Trump extorted Ukraine. And then you say, yeah, but what about when Trump increased the standard tax deduction to $15,000, helping millions who don't own homes yet? That's a fallacy because you're not addressing what I was talking about. You're not addressing the issue I just brought up about Ukraine. You're saying, what about this other thing? This you know, this possible, you know, this other good thing that he's done. That's whataboutism. That's a logical fallacy, and you shouldn't do that. No, getting a better grasp on logic isn't Trump derangement syndrome. What's Trump derangement syndrome is not people who criticize Trump giving their valid justifications. And you might disagree with their normativity. You might disagree with, you know, their moral oughts. But where Trump derangement syndrome really lies is within the person who can no longer disseminate the truth for themselves, or they may have once had a way of doing that, but now they just rely on whatever Trump says is true. That's Trump derangement syndrome. Scott Hobbs is speaking the Kremlin's lines here and Putin's lines that Ukraine and Europe provoked Russia, so they had to invade. Sounds so dramatic. It almost sounds fake. That's not true at all. How did Ukraine provoke Russia? Because they want to join NATO in order to be better protected, because they lost their ability to protect themselves after the Budapest Memorandum, because they lost their nukes. Yeah. If Ukraine wanting to be better protected is a provocation of your country, you should look at yourself in the mirror and be like, am I an expansionist bastard that has expansionist goals in the future with this country, and that's why I'm provoked when they want to be better defended? That's ridiculous. Psychosomatic says, I like Pangburn, I like Alex O'Connor, but when Alex had Destiny on, I lost a bit of respect for Alex. Destiny has nothing to say. He's just angry. No, I think you're throwing Steven aside when you really should be looking at like the real high quality work he has done to try to go to war with misinformation. Political misinformation has been key, but also like during COVID and that time he did a lot of work on that. So I mean, I think like all of us, you know, Stephen's still growing and developing as an intellectual, and but as far as I can tell, like what he's been doing with you know going to war with the Republicans and the conservatives who have been, you know, lured into Trumpism is very difficult to do that. It's a lot of work, and I think he's doing a fantastic job. So no, I think it's a good thing that someone like Alex, who's a fantastic thinker, interacts with someone like Destiny. I think it's good for when I examine my own moral quest to maximize well-being for myself and those around me. I see it as a good thing. I think it's good for Alex's well-being. It's good for Destiny's well-being, and I think it's ultimately good for the well-being of society to have them having conversations with each other. How many boosters I got? Maybe 1 or 2. I haven't been back for. I mean, just to be honest with you, I haven't gotten like COVID vaccine since like the first rounds. Scott Hobbs says, "Take Canada to its knees." God, you realize that is expansionist talk, right? Do you like expansionism? Like, are we reverting back to expansionism because Putin does it, and then you have a leader like Trump who's Putin sympathetic and wants to be like Putin, and he wants to know where he can expand? Yikes. Yeah, psychosomatic. I really do think that guys like, you know, I think Destiny is you know, has many more expertise in political debate and discourse, and Alex O'Connor is of course a bona fide you know, philosopher, you know, well studied, and he's also a great logician. And you know, whenever someone who's constantly coming head to head with political pundits, whenever they can sharpen their tools with someone like Alex O'Connor, even if it's just their logical tools or their argumentation tools, it's a great thing. And I really think it's important for anyone who's a public figure, you know, YouTuber or whatever, to allow their learning to be shown publicly. Allow people to see that in real time. We need more people adopting fallibilism as a virtue, as a first virtue. You know, fallibilism just simply meaning that anything you believe could be wrong is a simple way to put it. It is the first Pangburn virtue, fallibilism. It just reminds you to not feel like your work is done on any of these things you believe. It could be, anything could be overturned, and there's nothing wrong about that. And it's just descriptively true about the human condition as well. Can you guys let me know on Discord? Am I actually not coming through on Discord for you guys? Just let me know in the... Oh, okay. Someone says you're... Yeah, you guys come over and join me on YouTube. I have no idea why my mic is not coming through on Discord. Ooh, let's see. No, yeah, I mean, it's registering. Like, I don't know. But, well, you guys can't hear me anyway. But if there's anyone on YouTube, do let them know. But yeah, if you want to join us in Detroit, hopefully some of you do. Here's the ticket link. I'm going to replace the pinned message with that. So yeah, you can just be an observer of the debates, and or you can actually get yourself a debate ticket and bring a topic. The idea is for people who get the debate ticket to be pro-Trump, because Destiny is representing the anti-Trump position. What does already paid for Mexico mean? Runefoot says, Republicans, we are the Freedom Party. The Republicans 5 seconds later, let's spend due process and ban porn in 1/3 of the country. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, good. Our Google ads are up and running. Good, good. Leonard Solis, what do you say Destiny has no common sense? What do you mean by common sense? Because common sense is something I usually hear people lean back on when they have no justification for what they believe. Or, yeah, they'll like present that as their justification. What's your justification for believing Trump won the 2020 election? Oh, it's common sense. Yeah, that's stupid. Yeah, you should never rely on common sense as a justification. It's too vague, too broad. There's too many disagreements about what common sense might be. What other states should we invade with the Debate Destiny anti-Trump tour? Where should we go? I also do have an anti-RFK Jr. tour in the works. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like Robin Webster just pointed out, sense is not common among my fellow Americans. So it's like, yeah, Robin here is going to disagree with what you probably think is common sense, right? And then what are you going to say? Oh, it's just TDS. Yeah, Texas, Florida. Yeah. I wanted to start in Michigan. It's a battleground state, so it's an important location. We'll be right in the heart of Detroit. I just wanted to see on my phone how this stream looks. See if I like this. Oh yeah, it's good enough. Good. Okay, sweet. Okay, great. Yeah, North Carolina. Yeah. I wonder if you guys can hear me now on Discord. Probably not. Let me try. Bat. Can you guys hear me now on Discord? 111. Farmer David says he does not debate. He just says 15 things that are insane really fast. Yeah, so you're accusing Destiny of Gish galloping. Yeah, if you're ever in a conversation with someone like that, and or if you're watching a conversation like that and they don't make an effort to kind of slow down, if the other person, asks them to slow down and go point by point, then, that's a problem. It would be much more helpful if you slowed down. But it sounds like you might be saying this is on purpose. But yeah, that all of that stuff has to be communicated within the dialectic. Man, Twitter or X is just a cesspool of hate. Unbelievable. It's like the depths of the commenting is like, this guy's a retard. Oh. I suppose it kind of comes with the territory. I wish we lived in a world where people took one of his quotes, one of his arguments, and then gave their rebuttal or make their claim about it, and then, have a bit of a back and forth. But sadly, that is not the case. $107. Oh, okay. Good. Who is this? Okay. You know what I'm probably going to do? Okay. I'm not going to say what I'm going to do, but I'm doing something to fix an issue. Because I think I know what's happening. Nice. Tickets are flying. Rock and roll. Let's see what that did. Ha! I beat the trolls again. I love it. I love winning. Gary Terwilliger says, here, let me tell you how a debate with Destiny will go. Destiny will make wide claims or possibly inhumane claims, and when someone calls him out on said claims, he will talk like Speedy and talk over. I mean, I guess we'll have to see. I mean, I've seen too many counter examples to that, right? Where he doesn't, talk speedy or talk over, where he actually listens. Like, his responses are very quick and sharp, but like I said, it's say what you want about him. He has a high intelligence quotient. So, some of his processing and speed, and maybe he jumps in when the person's not quite finished. Like, you're just going to get that with people who have high intelligence quotient. It's something they have to work on. You can master that and do better and become more helpful. But yeah. But what do you mean? Just general, by wide claims? You think he'll make general claims, or? Yeah, I mean, whoever's in a conversation with him should just, if he is doing that, just be like, no, I want to go claim by claim here. I want to slow down. Let's start with the first part. You said this, and this is what I think, and I'm sure he would be open to that. I think I've seen that before in him. Interesting. Yeah, what are some of his wild claims? I'm interested. What are some of his wild claims? Lucy K says, let's talk Donald Trump's new beautiful budget. Does anyone know about it? No, tell us about it. Trump is the best president you ever had in America. What about extorting your ally, Ukraine, while they're being invaded by Russia? A war of aggression and expansionism. And Trump extorts them for a mineral deal that falls apart. What about that? Is that the best president you've ever had? Yeah, I'm interested too, Lucy K. What are some of the great things he has done? Paul says, what did Biden I think you mean do, losers? Well, he didn't extort Ukraine while they're being invaded and try to squeeze a mineral deal out of them. He didn't do that. That's way worse than anything Biden ever did. But again, when you bring up Biden, like, what did Biden do? That's whataboutism. Like, what about Biden? What about? It's logically fallacious. We're talking about Trump. I've done a lot of these live streams with literally thousands of comments. I don't think I've heard one person, maybe like one or two people, who've said something that Trump has actually done. Like, it's a fact that he has done something, and then giving their justification as to why that's a good thing. it really does show that a lot of people are walking around, for lack of a better term, epistemologically retarded, where they don't even know how to articulate what it is they believe and why they believe it, the justification for why they believe that. And then we get into, you're then going to have to articulate how you know what is good, right? So this is, a lot of this is a marker of being cult captured. People always say, no, I'm not in a cult. I don't like being told I'm in a cult. It's like, well, some of your behaviors, the way you're thinking, the way you're showing us, how you espouse your beliefs, just points in that direction. Like you haven't seen it necessary to find a justification for your belief, or you think that saying, well, Trump said it, is a reasonable justification. Yeah, exactly, Robin. The justification just might be the Kool-Aid. And I hope not. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Whatever someone says. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. You might end up dead. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Yeah, isn't Trump sitting on the worst economy in U.S. history right now? Like minus Great Depression, or let's see. Is Trump driving the U.S. into a recession? Warning lights are flashing on a dashboard of economic indicators as analysts grow alarmed about a Trump session. That play on words is very cringe. Prospects for the U.S. economy have cooled significantly in a matter of months. After outperforming its international peers last year, warning lights are flashing on a dashboard of economic indicators as analysts warn that Donald Trump's erratic approach is hitting the world's largest economy. Fears of a U.S. recession this year are growing in what is being called a Trump session, amid a sharp decline in business and consumer confidence as the president threatens punitive import tariffs on U.S. allies and enemies alike. Most economists reckon a recession, defined as 2 consecutive quarters of shrinking economic output, can be avoided. But it is clear there are storm clouds gathering within the president's first 100 days back in the White House. GDP. U.S. growth in gross domestic product had outpaced international peers in recent years, and since the COVID pandemic in particular, helped by the Biden administration pumping billions of dollars into the economy through the Inflation Reduction Act. The former president did not get much credit, though, as voters felt the squeeze from the period of high inflation triggered by the pandemic and Russia's war in Ukraine. This week, the Atlanta Federal Reserve, GDP Now, which measures GDP economic growth in real time, suggests the U.S. economy would contract at an annual rate of 2% in the first quarter. However, this widely followed indicator can be volatile, and it is heavily influenced by the U.S. trade deficit, which soared in January. Trade balance. The U.S. goods trade gap surged to $153.3 billion in January. This was driven by record import volumes, an increase of 36.2 billion to 329.5 billion in total, as U.S. businesses rushed to bring shipments into the country to avoid potential tariffs. U.S. gold imports. A significant driver of the import rise was inbound shipments of finished metal shapes, which include bars of gold. The trend is also attributed to traders rushing to get ahead of potential U.S. tariffs. A widening trade deficit would normally weigh on a country's GDP because imports are subtracted from the measurement. But because gold bought to sit in a vault is not consumed or used in production, it is excluded. Inflation. Trump had promised to, quote, bring prices down starting on day one and, quote, cut energy costs in half within 12 months after taking office. Official figures show the headline annual rate as measured by the Consumer Price Index was 2.8% in February, after an unexpected rise to 3% in January from 2.9% in December. Energy costs are down by 0.2% on an annual basis. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development said on Monday that Trump's trade wars risked stoking inflation. It increased its U.S. inflation forecast for 2025 to 2.8%, up from a previous estimate of 2.1% made in December. Employment. U.S. jobs market has boomed in recent years, and the unemployment rate dropped to 3.5% in early 2023, the lowest level since the year of the first moon landing in 1969. The rate was ticked higher in recent months, but remains historically low at 4.1%. This has been spurred by rapid growth in the numbers of jobs being added to the economy. Let me go up. The U.S. stock market has powered to record highs in recent years. Tech stocks and the Magnificent Seven, Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Meta, Nvidia, and Tesla have led the charge in particular, buoyed up by investors betting on the growth of artificial intelligence. The Biden administration oversaw a strong stock market performance helped by the economic recovery from the pandemic. However, Wall Street surged after Trump's election victory in November amid investor expectations for tax cuts that could increase company profits. Markets have been rattled in Trump's first 100 days amid concerns over his erratic approach to the economy and the threat of tariffs hitting growth and stoking inflation. Yeah, prices, consumer spending. And I was just reading from Betsy Reed at The Guardian there. Yeah, the economy is slowing down by almost all metrics since Biden. If any of you are on X, there's today's announcement posts if you want to repost and like or retweet, whatever you call it. Yeah, Green Lantern, we're just chilling today. I'm just doing a few things while I got the stream live. I just want to make sure everyone knows about the new event. We're almost, next week this time we'll be a month away from this one in Detroit. So Alejandra Parker says, if you are actively working to better American situation caused by previous administration, what about caused by the current administration? Are those not problems too? It'll be really interesting to see if anyone shows up to this event to debate Stephen. It's a tall order. Stephen Sharp. Ha ha ha. Ooh, I wanted to see the website metrics here. Site sessions. All right. We've had 580 site sessions since we announced the event. Cool. Rock and roll. Kid Rock versus Destiny. What would Kid Rock say? Just, my name is Kid. And then Destiny would be like, I don't know what he'd say. Yeah, so your name is Kid, but that's completely irrelevant to what it was. It's so funny how all of these men who claim to be heterosexual are so invested and absorbed and interested in Stephen Bonnell's sexual preference. Very interesting. Adam Venezia says, do you have anything you would debate Stephen on that you know of? Hard to imagine you'd be on the same page about everything. Yeah, I don't think we'd be on the same page about everything, for sure. Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, let's play. ChatGPT has all of my books I'm working on and everything right now, like a lot of information about me. So let's see. What would... Yeah, so it would be interesting. Okay, this is cool. So on epistemology and fallibilism. So my view, let's see if it gets my view right. Travis Spangler strongly advocates for fallibilism, summarized in his maxim, certainty is almost certainly unattainable. His framework acknowledges that all beliefs should be open to revision in light of new evidence. Correct. And then it says Destiny's view. While Destiny is a pragmatist who frequently updates his views, he often presents arguments with strong confidence and is less explicitly aligned with fallibilism. He sometimes appeals to probabilistic certainty based on available data rather than adopting a strong skepticism toward all knowledge. So disagreement, Pangburn might argue that Destiny overcommits to certainty in debates, whereas Destiny might counter that some levels of certainty are practical and necessary for decision making. Yep. Interesting. Free speech and debate ethics. Pangburn view. Pangburn is a free speech absolutist. No, I'm not. It doesn't know me. The machine doesn't know. I'm not a free speech absolutist. I understand there needs to be limits to speech. Like, you can't incite violence or insurrections. But I do believe, it goes on to say that I do believe that all ideas, even detestable ones, should be openly discussed and challenged. That is correct. But it shouldn't call me a free speech absolutist. Yeah. Destiny's view. Destiny values free speech but supports some content moderation, particularly against what he says as direct harm, deplatforming figures he deems as actively spreading misinformation or harming discourse. Interesting. So he supports some content moderation. When it comes to community building, like within my own community, like within the Pangburn community, the Pangburn Universe, I have, some rules. They're communication rules, so grounded in good faith and helpfulness. So yeah, in that kind of sense, I do have my own rules, dialectical rules, but it's not a limitation on what ideas can be discussed. I don't know why this stopped generating, but that was a good question. Thank you, Adam. Sean P says, thank God for Donald Trump, best president we've had in a long time. Well, let's deal with the thank God part. You understand that by no stretch of the imagination is Donald Trump a Christian or an embodiment of Christian values, right? I'm not a Christian, but it doesn't take a Christian to understand that about Trump. So I don't know why you're thanking God for that. And thank God for Donald Trump, best president we've had in a long, long time. For now, I'm really going to ask you, Sean, and I hope you're still here. I hope you didn't just drop that and run away. But what makes him the best? Something concrete. And then don't just say the thing. Tell us why that thing is good, why that thing is the best. Please. I'm pleading with you. Please. What will it take for people to focus on the important things when it comes to movements like this? I feel like there's so much focus on like previous drama or, ongoing personal issues, and less focus on like, okay, based on my purposes, what is what is the best outcome with regards to this thing. I think there's a lot of people running around not understanding what their purposes are for their own life, so they're unable to act rationally. Well, you're unable to act rationally if you don't have a goal, right? If you don't have a purpose, you can't be rational to anything there. So then you're just being rational to what? Whims of the moment. A lot of the time people do have purposes, but they can't articulate them. And if you can't articulate them, you don't know what they are. And if you don't know what they are, how can you draw lines to them? It's an issue in philosophy. And why people need to be much better philosophically educated. Oh yeah, what else was there? Okay, so yeah, Adam asked the question, what Destiny and I would debate about: patience and debate ethics. Pangburn emphasizes ultimate patience in discourse, advocating for engaging even with detestable ideas in good faith. Destiny, while skilled at debate, he is notoriously aggressive and confrontational, often ridiculing opponents or using rhetorical traps. Yeah, so we would definitely have a good argument about that. Which would probably, if I uphold my virtue of patience, it would probably be me being patient and maybe him being notoriously aggressive and confrontational. But I don't know. I don't think that's as true about him in recent years, from what I've seen. Pangburn might critique Destiny for prioritizing debate wins over productive dialogue, while Destiny could argue that being confrontational is often the best way to expose bad ideas. Well, it's important. Yeah, just thinking about this, it's important that we not only expose bad ideas, but care for them, care for the bad ideas. Exposing bad ideas doesn't make bad ideas go away. I believe in the Daryl Davis technique, the good faith, helpful approach. You can maintain friendship. You can maintain care for individuals and their bad ideas. Sometimes if you show people that you have care for their bad ideas, enough care to want to spend time on them and go through them and see where they might be wrong, that sometimes can be enough for someone to at least view them in a less extreme light. So there, I think there are higher resolution dialectical techniques if you truly do want to, go to war with bad ideas and be successful. And exposing them is important, but your work is not done once you've exposed them. Free speech and platforming. Pangburn advocates strongly for absolute free speech. No, I don't. Absolute free speech isn't the right way of saying this. Believing in open dialogue with all perspectives, no matter how controversial. I believe in that, yeah. Again, Destiny supports free speech, but has at times supported deplatforming in certain cases. In certain cases, example, banning figures he deems as harmful. Yeah, I'm not a deplatformer. I think harmful ideas, harmful people, you can do a lot more with those bad ideas if you get them up on a stage and have them contended with. Because for the people that they have captured, for example, maybe not them who you're having a dialogue with, but the people who are captured by them, when they see their ideas being refuted, it can raise questions in a way that they've never thought of about this person's content or what they have to say. Pangburn, let's see what this says about me. Pangburn leans towards libertarian or classical liberal views, emphasizing individual autonomy, personal responsibility, and maximizing well-being. Yeah, that's not right. That actually might be accurate to me 10 years ago. Or maybe even like 7 years ago. But that's not how I feel now. Destiny, a self-described market socialist who believes in progressive economic policies. Yeah, I agree with many progressive economic policies as well. Some level of wealth redistribution. Yeah, if that comes in the form of taxation, of heavier taxation for the super wealthy, then I am down with that. Government intervention in markets. Yeah. I think we would probably agree on most things there nowadays. Yeah, I tend to approach problems with philosophical consistency. Yes, I'm big on philosophical consistency. Destiny's more of a pragmatist, willing to shift his position based on effectiveness rather than rigid principles. Yeah, so yeah, that would be interesting. But that was a good question by Adam, where Destiny and I could have debates. Let's see what we got here. Oh, yikes. Some people's kids, man. Anyways, I'm going to hop off. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I think I'm going to let this stream go public, because there's some, I think maybe some interesting tidbits about the upcoming event. And so thanks for joining me, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next stream.